How to be better in the style of Simon Sinek. Why are we here? Not just in this moment, but in this pursuit of better. What is better, truly? It's not a destination, some arbitrary point of achievement. It's a direction. It's the relentless pursuit of our potential, fueled by a deeper purpose. We live in a world obsessed with results, with grades, with rankings, but what if we shifted our focus? What if we started with why we seek to improve? Think about the educators who inspired you, the ones who didn't just impart knowledge, but ignited a fire within you. They understood their why. They believed in the power of education to transform lives. That's where it starts, with a belief in something bigger than ourselves. Education isn't a sprint, it's a marathon, an infinite game. There are no winners and losers, only those who stay in the game and those who drop out. The key to staying in the game is to embrace the journey, to find joy in the process of learning and growing. But we can't do it alone. We need to build trust, to create environments where we can be vulnerable, where we can ask questions, where we can challenge assumptions. Trust is the currency of collaboration, and collaboration is essential for progress. And as we climb, as we learn, as we grow, we have a responsibility to reach back and lift others. Education is not a zero-sum game. The more we share our knowledge, the more we empower others, the better we all become. So how do we become better? By starting with why, by embracing the infinite game, by leading with empathy, by building trust, by seeking continuous learning, and by inspiring others to join us on this journey. Let's not just strive for better. Let's strive for a world where everyone has the opportunity to reach their full potential. That's a world worth fighting for. That's a world where we can all be better together. Flash, expanding on the first keynote, start with why to approximately 700 words. It begins with a question, a fundamental inquiry that cuts through the noise and clutter of daily existence. Why? Not what, not how, but why. This isn't just a semantic exercise. It's the cornerstone of purpose, the bedrock upon which meaningful action is built. To truly understand how to be better, we must first grapple with the why that fuels our desire for improvement. The pursuit of better without a defined why is like setting sail without a compass. We might drift aimlessly, caught in fleeting trends or the expectations of others, but we lack the internal navigation to guide us toward genuine fulfillment. The why provides that direction, that unwavering North Star that keeps us on course even when the seas are rough. Consider the student who diligently completes assignments, striving for top grades. What is their why? Is it simply to please their parents, to gain admission to a prestigious university, or to secure a high-paying job? These are external motivators, and while they may drive short-term achievement, they often lack the staying power to sustain long-term growth. Now imagine a student whose why is rooted in a deep-seated curiosity, a genuine thirst for knowledge. They see education not as a means to an end, but as an end in itself. They are driven by a desire to understand the world around them, to explore new ideas, and to challenge their own assumptions. This intrinsic motivation is a far more powerful engine for growth, because it is fueled by passion, not obligation. The same principle applies to any field of endeavor. The entrepreneur who starts a business solely to make money is likely to falter when faced with inevitable challenges. But the entrepreneur who is driven by a desire to solve a problem, to create something of value, or to make a positive impact on the world is far more likely to persevere through adversity. Their why provides them with the resilience and determination to overcome obstacles. Finding your why is not always easy. It requires introspection, self-reflection, and a willingness to challenge your own beliefs. It may involve questioning the assumptions you've always held, exploring your values, and identifying what truly matters to you. It's a journey of self-discovery, and it's a journey worth taking. One way to uncover your why is to ask yourself a series of questions. What are you passionate about? What problems do you want to solve? What impact do you want to make on the world? What values are most important to you? Your answers to these questions will provide clues to your underlying purpose. Another helpful exercise is to reflect on your past experiences. Think about the times when you felt most alive, most engaged, and most fulfilled. What were you doing? Who were you with? What made those experiences so meaningful? These moments often reveal our core values and passions. Once you have identified your why, it's important to articulate it clearly and concisely. Write it down, share it with others, make it a part of your daily life. The more you connect with your why, the more motivated and inspired you will be to pursue your goals. Living in alignment with your why is not always easy. It may require you to make difficult choices, to step outside your comfort zone and to challenge the status quo, but the rewards are immeasurable. When you are driven by a clear sense of purpose, you will experience a level of fulfillment and satisfaction that is simply not possible when you are living a life that is not your own. So as you embark on your journey to become better, remember to start with why. Understand your purpose, connect with your passion, and let your why guide you toward a life of meaning and impact. Because when you know why you're doing what you're doing, the how becomes much easier. And that is the foundation for true and lasting improvement. The world often presents itself as a series of finite games. We are conditioned to believe that life is a competition, a race to the top, where success is measured by external markers like wealth, status, and power. We strive to win, to be the best, to achieve some ultimate goal. But what if this perspective is fundamentally flawed? What if life, and particularly education, is not a finite game at all, but an infinite one? In a finite game, there are known players, fixed rules, and a defined objective. The goal is to win, to defeat the other players, and to claim the prize. Think of a chess match, a football game, or a political election. These are all examples of finite games. However, in an infinite game, the players come and go, the rules are constantly evolving, and there is no defined objective. The goal is not to win, but to keep the game going, to perpetuate the cycle of learning, growth, and innovation. Think of science, art, or education. These are all examples of infinite games. The key difference between finite and infinite games lies in their mindset. Finite players are focused on short-term gains, on achieving specific goals, and on outperforming their competitors. Infinite players, on the other hand, are focused on long-term sustainability, on continuous improvement, and on collaborating with others to advance the game. In the context of education, embracing the infinite game means shifting our focus from grades and test scores to the joy of learning, the pursuit of knowledge, and the development of critical thinking skills. It means seeing education not as a means to an end, but as an end in itself. It means recognizing that learning is a lifelong process, and that there is always more to discover. When we approach education as a finite game, we become obsessed with external validation. We compare ourselves to others, we worry about our performance, and we lose sight of the intrinsic rewards of learning. We may even resort to cheating or cutting corners in order to achieve better grades. But when we embrace the infinite game, we become more focused on our own personal growth. We are less concerned with what others think, and more concerned with what we are learning. We are more willing to take risks, to experiment with new ideas, and to learn from our mistakes. The infinite game mindset also fosters collaboration and innovation. When we are not focused on winning, we are more likely to share our knowledge, to help others succeed, and to work together to solve complex problems. We recognize that the more we collaborate, the more we all benefit. In the business world, companies that embrace the infinite game are more likely to thrive in the long run. They are focused on creating value for their customers, on building strong relationships with their employees, and on innovating to stay ahead of the curve. They understand that the key to success is not to beat the competition, but to create a sustainable ecosystem that benefits all stakeholders. So how do we embrace the infinite game in our own lives? First, we need to shift our mindset. We need to stop thinking about life as a competition and start thinking about it as a journey of continuous learning and growth. We need to focus on our own personal development rather than comparing ourselves to others. Second, we need to cultivate a love of learning. We need to be curious, to ask questions, and to explore new ideas. We need to read books, attend lectures, and engage in conversations with people who challenge our thinking. Third, we need to embrace collaboration. We need to share our knowledge, to help others succeed, and to work together to solve problems. We need to build strong relationships with people who share our values and our vision. Finally, we need to be patient. The infinite game is a long-term endeavor. There will be ups and downs, successes and failures. But as long as we stay focused on our purpose, on our values, and on our commitment to continuous improvement, we will continue to grow and to make a positive impact on the world. Because in the infinite game, the only way to win is to keep. Leadership, at its core, is about influence. It's about inspiring others to move towards a shared vision, to achieve a common goal. But true leadership isn't about wielding power or demanding obedience. It's about connecting with people on a human level, understanding their needs, and empowering them to reach their full potential. This is where empathy comes in. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. It's about putting yourself in someone else's shoes, seeing the world from their perspective, and recognizing their emotions as if they were your own. It's not just about feeling sorry for someone, it's about genuinely understanding their experience. Leading with empathy means creating a culture of trust, respect, and understanding. It means listening to your team members, valuing their opinions, and acknowledging their contributions. It means creating a safe space where people feel comfortable sharing their ideas, their concerns, and their vulnerabilities. In the context of education, leading with empathy means understanding the unique challenges and opportunities that each student faces. It means recognizing that students come from different backgrounds, with different learning styles and different needs. It means creating a classroom environment where every student feels valued, supported, and empowered to learn. A teacher who leads with empathy takes the time to get to know their students as individuals. They understand their strengths and weaknesses, their interests and passions, and their hopes and dreams. They use this knowledge to tailor their teaching methods to meet the needs of each student. They also create a classroom environment where students feel safe to take risks, to make mistakes, and to learn from their errors. They encourage students to support each other, to collaborate on projects, and to celebrate each other's successes. Leading with empathy is not always easy. It requires patience, understanding, and a willingness to challenge your own assumptions. It may mean stepping outside your comfort zone, confronting your own biases, and learning to see the world from a different perspective. But the rewards are immeasurable. When you lead with empathy, you create a more engaged, more motivated, and more productive team. You build stronger relationships, foster greater trust, and create a more positive and supportive work environment. In the business world, companies that lead with empathy are more likely to attract and retain top talent, to build stronger customer relationships, and to achieve greater financial success. They understand that their employees are their most valuable asset, and that by investing in their well-being, they are investing in the future of the company. So, how do we lead with empathy in our own lives? First, we need to cultivate our own emotional intelligence. We need to learn to recognize and understand our own emotions as well as the emotions of others. We need to practice active listening, paying attention not only to what people say, but also to how they say it. Second, we need to challenge our own assumptions and biases. We all have preconceived notions about people from different backgrounds, with different beliefs and different experiences. We need to be aware of these biases and to make a conscious effort to overcome them. Third, we need to practice empathy in our daily interactions. We need to take the time to listen to others, to understand their perspectives, and to acknowledge their feelings. We need to be kind, compassionate, and supportive. Finally, we need to create a culture of empathy in our organizations. We need to encourage our team members to practice empathy, to share their stories, and to support each other. We need to celebrate diversity, to value different perspectives, and to create a workplace where everyone feels valued and respected. Leading with empathy is not just a leadership skill, it's a way of life. It's about connecting with people on a human level, understanding their needs, and empowering them to reach their full potential. And when we lead with empathy, we create a better world for ourselves and for those around us. Okay, expanding on the fourth keynote, build trust, to approximately 700 words. Trust is the invisible glue that holds relationships, teams, and organizations together. It's the foundation upon which we build collaboration, innovation, and success. Without trust, communication breaks down, productivity declines, and morale plummets. In essence, trust is the bedrock of any thriving environment, especially within education. Building trust is not a one-time event. It's an ongoing process that requires consistent effort, transparency, and integrity. It's about demonstrating that you are reliable, honest, and committed to the well-being of others. It's about creating a safe space where people feel comfortable sharing their ideas, their concerns, and their vulnerabilities. In the context of education, building trust is essential for creating a positive and supportive learning environment. Students need to trust their teachers, their peers, and the educational system as a whole. They need to believe that their teachers have their best interests at heart, that their peers will support them, and that the system is fair and equitable. A teacher who builds trust is one who is consistent, fair, and transparent. They set clear expectations, they follow through on their promises, and they treat all students with respect. They are also willing to admit their mistakes, to apologize when they are wrong, and to learn from their errors. They create a classroom environment where students feel safe to take risks, to ask questions, and to express their opinions. They encourage open communication, active listening, and constructive feedback. They also foster a sense of community where students feel connected to each other and to the learning process. Building trust is not just the responsibility of teachers, it's the responsibility of everyone involved in the educational system, including administrators, parents, and students themselves. Administrators need to trust their teachers, to empower them to make decisions, and to support them in their efforts to improve student learning. In the business world, companies that build trust are more likely to attract and retain top talent, to build strong customer relationships, and to achieve greater financial success. They understand that trust is a valuable asset and that it needs to be nurtured and protected. So how do we build trust in our own lives? First, we need to be reliable. We need to do what we say we are going to do, and we need to do it on time. We need to be consistent in our actions so that people know what to expect from us. Second, we need to be honest. We need to tell the truth, even when it's difficult. We need to be transparent in our dealings so that people can see what we are doing and why we are doing it. Third, we need to be respectful. We need to treat others with kindness, compassion, and understanding. We need to listen to their opinions, to value their perspectives, and to acknowledge their contribution. Fourth, we need to be vulnerable. We need to be willing to admit our mistakes, to apologize when we are wrong, and to ask for help when we need it. We need to show people that we are human and that we are not afraid to be imperfect. Finally, we need to be patient. Building trust takes time. It's not something that can be done overnight. It requires consistent effort, transparency, and integrity, but the rewards are immeasurable. When we build trust, we create stronger relationships, foster greater collaboration, and achieve greater success in all areas of our lives. Because trust is the foundation upon which we build a better world. Okay, expanding on the fifth keynote, cultivate a growth mindset to approximately 700 words. The concept of mindset, the lens through which we view ourselves and our abilities, profoundly impacts our potential for growth and achievement. A fixed mindset, characterized by the belief that our talents and intelligence are static and unchangeable, can be a significant barrier to progress. Conversely, a growth mindset, the understanding that our abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work, unlocks a world of possibilities. Cultivating a growth mindset is about embracing challenges, persisting through setbacks, and viewing effort as a path to mastery. It's about recognizing that intelligence and talent are not fixed traits, but rather qualities that can be cultivated through learning and experience. It's about believing in our potential to grow and improve, regardless of our current abilities. In the context of education, a growth mindset is essential for fostering a love of learning and a willingness to take risks. Students with a growth mindset are more likely to embrace challenges, to persevere through difficulties, and to view mistakes as opportunities for learning. They are also more likely to be motivated, engaged, and successful in their studies. A teacher who cultivates a growth mindset in their students focuses on the process of learning rather than just the outcome. They praise effort, persistence, and improvement rather than just innate talent or intelligence. They create a classroom environment where students feel safe to take risks, to make mistakes, and to learn from their errors. They also provide students with opportunities to reflect on their learning, to identify their strengths and weaknesses, and to set goals for improvement. They encourage students to challenge themselves, to step outside their comfort zones, and to embrace new learning experiences. Cultivating a growth mindset is not just beneficial for students, it's also essential for teachers, administrators, and anyone involved in the educational system. Teachers with a growth mindset are more likely to be innovative, adaptable, and effective in their teaching practices. Administrators with a growth mindset are more likely to create a supportive and empowering environment for their staff. In the business world, companies that cultivate a growth mindset are more likely to be innovative, adaptable, and successful in the long run. They understand that their employees are their most valuable asset, and that by investing in their growth and development, they are investing in the future of the company. So, how do we cultivate a growth mindset in our own lives? First, we need to become aware of our own mindset. We need to identify our fixed mindset beliefs and challenge them. We need to recognize that our abilities are not fixed and that we have the potential to grow and improve. Second, we need to embrace challenges. We need to seek out opportunities to learn new things, to step outside our comfort zones, and to push ourselves to our limits. We need to view challenges as opportunities for growth rather than as threats to our self-esteem. Third, we need to persist through setbacks. We need to learn from our mistakes, to bounce back from failures, and to never give up on our goals. We need to view setbacks as temporary obstacles rather than as permanent limitations. Fourth, we need to value effort. We need to recognize that hard work, dedication, and perseverance are essential for achieving success. We need to praise effort, persistence, and improvement rather than just innate talent or intelligence. Finally, we need to learn from others. We need to seek out mentors, role models, and peers who have a growth mindset. We need to learn from their experiences, to ask for their advice, and to support them in their own growth journeys. Cultivating a growth mindset is a lifelong journey. It requires consistent effort, self-reflection, and a willingness to challenge our own beliefs, but the rewards are immeasurable. When we cultivate a growth mindset, we unlock our potential for growth, achievement, and fulfillment. And when we help others cultivate a growth mindset, we create a world where everyone has the opportunity to reach their full potential. Okay, expanding on the sixth keynote, let's assume the topic is embrace failure as a learning opportunity, to approximately 700 words. Failure, often viewed as a negative and undesirable outcome, is an inevitable part of life and a crucial component of growth. Our society often stigmatizes failure, leading individuals to fear taking risks and to avoid challenges that might expose their vulnerabilities. However, reframing our perspective on failure, embracing it as a learning opportunity, can unlock tremendous potential for personal and professional development. Embracing failure as a learning opportunity means shifting our focus from the outcome to the process. It means recognizing that mistakes are not signs of inadequacy, but rather valuable sources of information that can help us improve our skills and knowledge. It means being willing to experiment, to take risks, and to learn from our experiences, both positive and negative. In the context of education, embracing failure as a learning opportunity is essential for fostering a culture of innovation and creativity. Students need to feel safe to take risks, to make mistakes, and to learn from their errors. They need to understand that failure is not the opposite of success, but rather a stepping stone towards it. A teacher who embraces failure as a learning opportunity creates a classroom environment where students feel comfortable sharing their mistakes and asking for help. They provide constructive feedback, focusing on the process of learning rather than just the outcome. They encourage students to reflect on their mistakes, to identify the root causes, and to develop strategies for improvement. They also model a growth mindset, demonstrating that they are willing to take risks, to make mistakes, and to learn from their own experiences. They share their own failures with their students, showing them that even successful people make mistakes, and that it's okay to not be perfect. Embracing failure is not just beneficial for students, it's also essential for teachers, administrators, and anyone involved in the educational system. Teachers who embrace failure are more likely to be innovative, adaptable, and effective in their teaching practices. Administrators who embrace failure are more likely to create a supportive and empowering environment for their staff. In the business world, companies that embrace failure are more likely to be innovative, adaptable, and successful in the long run. They understand that failure is a necessary part of the innovation process, and that by creating a culture of experimentation and learning, they can foster creativity and drive growth. So how do we embrace failure as a learning opportunity in our own lives? First, we need to change our mindset. We need to stop viewing failure as a negative outcome and start viewing it as a valuable learning experience. We need to recognize that mistakes are not signs of inadequacy, but rather opportunities for growth. Second, we need to take risks. We need to be willing to step outside our comfort zones, to try new things, and to challenge ourselves. We need to embrace the possibility of failure, knowing that even if we don't succeed, we will still learn something valuable. Third, we need to learn from our mistakes. We need to reflect on our failures, to identify the root causes, and to develop strategies for improvement. We need to ask ourselves what we can learn from this experience and how we can avoid making the same mistake in the future. Fourth, we need to be resilient. We need to bounce back from setbacks, to persevere through challenges, and to never give up on our goals. We need to view failure as a temporary obstacle rather than as a permanent limitation. Finally, we need to share our failures with others. We need to be open and honest about our mistakes so that others can learn from our experiences. We need to create a culture of support and understanding where people feel comfortable sharing their failures and asking for help. Embracing failure as a learning opportunity is a transformative process. It requires a shift in mindset, a willingness to take risks, and a commitment to continuous learning. But the rewards are immeasurable. When we embrace failure, we unlock our potential for growth, innovation, and success. And when we help others embrace failure, we create a world where everyone has the opportunity to learn, to grow, and to reach their full potential.